You're listening to the Every Student, Every Day podcast with me, Jim Franchini, Superintendent of the Averill Park Central School District. Welcome to this episode of the Every Student, Every Day podcast. We had a very successful winter sports season, and we thought we'd invite on to the podcast some of the athletes who helped make this season such a success. And they had great years individually, and we wanted to kind of highlight them and give our community a chance to get to know them a little better. So for the ones joining us today, thank you very much for taking the time out of your schedule to spend some time here on the podcast. And we'll start by just having you go around the room, introduce yourself, and maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself, what grade you're in, the sport you played in this winter, and kind of how you got involved in that sport. So kind of a quick little entry bio type of thing. Why don't we start with Jacob?
All right, I'm Jacob Hanlon, and I'm a senior, and I've been, I'm a wrestler for the winter season, and I've been wrestling for, I'd say, basically my whole life, ever since my dad taught me how to walk in wrestling. And then I started competing, like, competitively in, like, 6th grade, and then into the high school in 7th grade. I was a varsity athlete.
Great. Thank you, Jacob, for joining us. How about Amelia?
Hi, I'm Amelia Banker. I am a wrestler during the winter season. I am a 10th grader, and I got into the sport just out of choice. My mom and me were talking about football, but she didn't want me doing that, so we chose wrestling. I've been in it for 4 years now.
Great. Thank you, Amelia, for joining us. How about Reese?
Hi, my name's Reese. I'm a 12th grader, and I've been wrestling in the winter season. What really involved me in the sport was kind of like my dad. He did a lot of combat sports, and I kind of wanted to do also do combat sports just like him. So I started when I was about 6th grade, and I didn't really start like getting good competing to maybe like 7th grade, and even then, I just had to continue my skill, and then I started getting better in high school.
Great. Thank you, Reese. And last but not least, Marley.
Hi, I'm Marley, and I'm a 10th grader as well. I did indoor track this winter, and I started track, I want to say in 3rd grade. I did Roadrunners, and then ever since then, I just loved the sport and gotten better over the time of years.
Great. Thank you for joining us, all of you. Also joining us at the podcast is our athletic director, Mark Bubniak. Mark, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Franchini. Always nice to be invited to be on the podcast. I'm Mark Bubniak. I'm the Director of Athletics here at Averill Park.
Great. Thank you for joining us. So hopping right into our questions, Amelia, this is the first time that we've had a girls wrestling team. What was that like? What was the season like for you? It was very exciting development here in the district.
The season was pretty good. Our first tournament, most of the girls placed first as just a couple weeks into it. It was a little bit different as for the first 3 years I did wrestling, I did folk style, and this year it was freestyle. It means there's a little bit change in the rules and the time periods for it. So it was a little different, and I had to change my mindset a little bit to accompany the girls as I was the one more experienced compared to the one least experienced while I was on the boys team. Mm-hmm. And it was different wrestling girls than it was wrestling boys for the past few years. I would say it was pretty even. Like there was no change like on how I won or whether or not I placed on the podium. But this year went pretty well for all the girls on the team, and I've been very proud of them for how much they have accomplished.
That's great. And I know our community is following closely with the team and your first season. You also competed in the inaugural New York State Public High School Athletic Association tournament down at the MVP Arena. What was that experience like? Pretty exciting, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was really exciting that it was, in fact, my second year qualifying for states. Last year, I sadly wasn't able to go due to a broken collarbone. But this year, it was nervous. I beat out the 6th and 7th place seed. I was placed as, I think, the 9th seed at states. and I beat the girl that like I kept losing to all season long finally, and I was really happy about that. I was very close to getting on the podium, and I sadly did not, but I'm not disappointed, and I hope to do it again next year and hopefully do place.
That'd be great. Something to work for since you have a couple years left, right?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you. Let's switch over to indoor track. Marley, the pole vault, not necessarily an event that people immediately think about with track and field. What was your season like, and how did you have that goal of making it to states? Like, how did that whole thing unfold for you?
Yeah, so one of my goals was to get to states. My other goal was to hit 10 feet, which is my current PR. So I would say my season went pretty well because, like I said, I got my 10 feet because my goal for like every year, one coach told me that instead of worrying about like PRing like every meet, I should just think clear your grade. So like, for example, 8th grade, clear 8 feet, 10th grade, clear 10. So it's like not as like nerve-wracking to PR, but yeah, I would say my season went pretty well.
That's great. And that's good advice. It gives you a goal, kind of like it sounds like Amelia has going forward for 11th and 12th grade, right? What was the experience like competing at Ocean Breeze?
Yeah, so I've been to Ocean Breeze multiple times in the past before. It's one of my favorite places to compete during the indoor season. But this time it was a little bit different because me and my coaches, we thought that boys pole vault was actually first when it was actually girls. So I got there a little bit later and didn't get as much time to warm up. But overall, I did pretty well. I think I placed top 15. I don't know if I tied for 15 or 14, but I did pretty well, and I got 10 feet for the third time.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So switching over to our athletic director, Mr. Bubniak, from your point of view, I would imagine the season was pretty successful by many accounts. Can you talk to us? We're highlighting our student athletes who made it to competitions at the state level. Can you talk to us a little bit more about just the overall teams and how they did this past winter?
Sure. Obviously, we're extremely happy and excited for the 5 individuals that went on to the state meet and state invitational for wrestling. All very, very proud of them. I was able to get to both the girls wrestling championships and the boys wrestling championships and watch them compete at the MVP Arena in Albany. The boys wrestling team placed second in Class B at sectionals. So the past 2 years we had a sectional championship and a runner-up finish, which is great. Also, our competitive cheerleading team finished second in Class B at sectionals. And that's after 2 years of not having a varsity team. So Coach Hayes has done a really good job of building the program back up, culminating with a second place finish at sectionals this year. Our girls basketball team lost in the sectional semifinals. Obviously, in girls hoop, we're used to getting a little farther, but still a good season for them as well. And one of the things we always focus on in the whether it's the fall, winter, or spring season is to set a goal for each of our teams to be New York State Public High School scholar athlete teams. And luckily, this winter, 9 of our 10 varsity teams qualified to be scholar athlete teams. And for those that aren't familiar with that, you take the 75% of the roster and then take their GPA and average that out. And if it ends up being a 90% or higher, they qualify for scholar athlete status with New York State. So 9 of 10 teams is a great accomplishment by all of those teams.
Outstanding. A lot of great successes on and off the playing field and court and competitions. Going back to our students, we'll go to boys wrestling. So our crew here today, Reese and Jacob, you all competed in wrestling. And can you talk to us a little bit about what your regular season was like And did you have a goal of making it to states? Was that something that you kind of had thought about going into this season?
I'd say making it to states is obviously like the main goal. Having like a sectional championship, like you got to either take top 2 to get to states, and that in itself is a goal. Competing with everyone in the section. So yeah, I feel like throughout the whole season, everyone knows like with all the rankings and everything, it's basically like, are you gonna make it to states? Are you gonna do well at sectionals? That's kind of like what you're thinking about, and I feel like that's a major goal that a lot of the guys on the team kind of have, like that experience that they just want to reach it. That's what the goal is, and I hope that a lot of kids who didn't make it this year, or that's their goal for like next year, moving on.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Jake saying to make it to states is still a great accomplishment, even for like most wrestlers. You still got to place top 6 in your class. You still have to place top 2 in your sectionals, and even then, certain kids have to fight for their second place with the rule being choose second, where if you hadn't wrestled the guy who took third, you have to wrestle him. And if you lose, you can't go to states. And I'd say overall, anybody who places at states or even goes to states should be proud of themselves, and especially for the kids next year who want to go to states, including my previous teammates. I feel like they have what it takes, and I see a lot of talent in other teams and our younger team as well.
That's great. A lot of potential and promise in the future as you look forward, as you guys leave the program in very good hands. What was that state tournament experience like as people who participate in it? Can you talk about the atmosphere, maybe especially compared to the other tournaments that you've been in? What was that environment like?
Well, the state tournament, it's not like any other. It's just like the idea that this is like your like last tournament of the season, and everyone there knows that it's like everyone's last tournament. That feeling in itself is just, it culminates. Everyone knows it. So I feel like everyone, when they step on the mat, like everyone's wrestling like the best they've ever wrestled that whole season. So it's like you're just experiencing and watching like the best wrestling. Everyone's out there putting their best effort on the mat. So overall, just watching it, it's just like you're watching the best wrestling in the state. And compared to other tournaments, you could go to a tournament in like Boston Spa or something like that, and it's like nothing compared to it. Like the feeling of being in that arena, it's just like, wow, I'm at the state tournament. It's like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I also agree with Jake's saying, and I feel like as you watch multiple different wrestlers on the mat and you watch how they move and how they act, there's also a lot of like emotionally. There's a lot of different kind. It's hard to explain, but you can tell how a wrestler's feeling just by the way they move. There's a lot of emotions in the way like they score a takedown or they get an escape, and even after a win or a loss, you can see there's just a lot of just prime emotion on the mat because it's the last season. For some, it's one state. There's going to be many more state tournaments to come for them to compete in, and for others, it's the last one that they will ever compete in their high school season, and that's a sad thing to think about. But other than that, I feel like it's just different from a lot of different tournaments, and I don't think there's another feeling that can be the same about it.
I think that's very true. Good perspective on those tournaments and how they compare to the other ones. So kind of bringing the whole group together again, balancing schoolwork and athletics, not easy. Wrestling tournaments, track meets in particular, they take up a lot of time after school and on your weekends. How did you balance that work? How did you find the time to do both? Is there time management skills that you picked up on and learned, or how did you kind of go through that?
So for wrestling and schoolwork and like everything else that you have to do, like during the winter, like holidays, family time, all of that, I'd say like most important thing is knowing what's the most important. First of all, trying to get that done as quick as possible. So like homework, like if it's Friday night and you know that you're going to be at a tournament like all weekend, get the homework done Friday night right after practice. You don't have to worry about it. Then Monday you turn it in and then you're stress free. And then if like Christmas time comes around, like the break, and you don't have any homework, but like you have to spend time with your family, and then you have practice all like in the morning, just know that get to practice, just act like how you're supposed to act at practice. And then when you get home, act like you're supposed to act at home and make it like you were just at practice, and make it like you don't have to act like you were miserable at practice, and you don't have to show that to your family. You have to act like you're supposed to act off and in practice, basically. So I feel like it's not about time management. It's about knowing what you have on your schedule and basically just prioritizing what's important.
Excellent. Anyone else?
Yeah, for me, like Jake said, I try to get all my work done before the weekend so I can just kind of relax because meets are usually Saturdays and Sundays. And sometimes it could be all day and sometimes it's for only a couple hours. So if I didn't get to finish all my work before the weekend, I just do it after the meet.
For me, it was a little bit more challenging because I have a learning disability and stuff, so I have a different outcome. Sometimes I had to miss practice and stay after with some teachers, or I used a lot of my free time, like study time, to go and see my teachers then to get a lot of my work done. And then on the bus rides to like tournaments and stuff, I would do it, make sure all my stuff is done. I try to get it done during the week so I wouldn't have to worry about on weekends because of the tournaments we have then. And just at the fact that they can last till like 12 at night.
For me, I use a lot of my I use a decent amount of my spare time to try to catch up on whatever I needed to for like work. So if I was in like English class and we had an essay, right? I'd type out my essay and I finished my essay. I get a little bit of extra free time. I would take other stuff out and I would work on that so I could get it all just done. I prefer to get all my schoolwork done or all my homework done in school before I had to go home. Sometimes I can't do that, but with wrestling, it's a difficult balance. You got to make sure that you're wrestling at your perfect, like at your best state, conditioning and whatnot, but also performing at your best as a student. Because if you don't, then you won't be able to wrestle. So I'd say that schoolwork probably comes first before wrestling. How much I don't like to say that, but overall, schoolwork is very important, and you got to find the balance between that, or you can't. You won't be able to.
That's great insight from the four of you. And I think it's impressive that you've been able to find that balance. It is not easy with your course load and the amount of time you're spending preparing and competing. It's extensive and it takes a lot of discipline and a great perspective. And it's a nice job. And congratulations on being able to balance all that. For all of you, your sports are both singular and team oriented. How do you prepare yourself for the individual aspect of your respective sports where you don't have a team competing directly with you? So sort of a neat balance between individual and team. How do you make that happen and focus on both the individual and the team?
Well, so I say for wrestling, it's kind of an odd perspective because I'd say in a meet, it's way more of a team aspect than a tournament. A tournament, you could go have a match and no one even knew you wrestled except your coach. But in a meet, everyone's watching you. And I feel like that is the most team aspect of wrestling because you're basically wrestling with your team. Everyone's on the side of the mat. It's like, I feel like you don't have to worry about preparing yourself for that like 1v1 situation when like your whole team's there with you. But I'd say in a tournament, the preparation for that, it's really just like knowing that you have to go out there and step on a mat versus another person, and then not your team won't be there. So it's not much of a difference. It's just knowing that at like a meet, you have like a team to back you up and you don't have to like worry about that.
Great insight again. Good.
Yeah, for track, I never really thought like, even though it might be flipped for some people, I think track's more of a team sport than it is individual. Just because like the track community itself, from what I've experienced, like no matter like if you're trying to beat this person, like they both like cheer you on, like everyone cheers each other on. So I don't really think it too much as individual, but for like the state meet and sectionals more than I just like before I go to a meet, I just remind myself what my goals are and how far I've come, and just think whatever happens, you are doing so well. And
For me, it was at tournaments, a lot of my teammates tried to help me get into the correct headspace. But for me, mentally, I had to work on that myself all season long. And at meets, it's like you have your whole teammate. You can hear all the cheers of everyone around you, surrounding you. And that really motivates me. But then at tournaments, all you hear is a lot of walking, a lot of talking from different individuals. and it's very overstimulating, I would say, for some people. And so sometimes I found a quiet area just to like sit a little bit before my match and just worked out some stuff in my head with my coach and everything, and just came up with a plan for that next match.
For me, overall, I like to think of wrestling in some certain aspects, yes, it may be individual, but mostly it's a team sport. Whether it be, like Jake said, on the mat with like a dual meet against any kind of team. When you're wrestling, and there's a big difference because compared to our team and other teams, when somebody else is wrestling, I watch their team sitting in their chairs, looking at their phones, doing something else, not paying attention, match. And multiple photos and videos and almost any kind of thing you can find about the River Park wrestling team, you always see us standing up, yelling as loud as we can, cheering for our teammates. And I feel like when you're wrestling somebody and you look back and you see all those people standing up in your corner, it feels like they're right there on the mat with you. It doesn't really feel when you're by yourself. Even in the practice room, most of like how you get better is via your teammates. Your teammates help you practice your moves. Your teammates are with you during conditioning. Your teammates are with you during the quiet. Your teammates are with you the entire time. So overall, like I feel like it's a team thing. Most of your teammates are there with you at like, what's the phrase? It's bonding via pain or bonding via hardship. Your teammates are all there with you. They're feeling the exact same thing you're feeling. They're practicing, doing the same thing you are, and you're helping your team get better. And overall, I feel like wrestling is like a family. Most of our teammates are a family. And even individual tournaments, when maybe some of your other teammates are not there, I've made friends from different schools and different teams, places that you wouldn't think, that will also on my side cheering on for the match that nobody else knows. So I'd say that team wrestling is mostly a team sport and only individual and very special aspects.
Those are, again, just very impressive and great answers by all four of you. Really, really interesting in how your perspective is on that, and some really cool insight into how you treat this. That's great. Makes me excited about our last question. Typically, when we have students on, we kind of ask them what advice they would give to maybe someone at the elementary level or middle school level, or someone who is thinking about joining your sport or just a sport in general, or even just, kind of in your mind, what advice you would give yourself if you could go back in time. So with that as a long setup, what type of advice would you give a up and coming student to the high school as they think about joining your sport?
So anyone like up and coming into wrestling, I feel like the most important thing to like say to them, it's more of like a hard like advice. It's really just that like you have to understand that you're gonna have to go through some sacrifices to get at like to stand on like high on any podium. Like you're not just gonna be able to just go to practice, just go to school and think that you're gonna get like really far. You have to put in a lot more work to be able to compete at a high level. So I think if I were to like say something to someone younger, I would probably just say like, just know that you have to make your own sacrifices that no one's going to like tell you to make. And it's going to be your own choice. And if it's not your own choice, then you're doing it for somebody else and you will never like it. You got to be able to choose it for you and you only.
Yeah, I would tell them if they're nervous to try track, they should just do it because there's so many like different events that one could do. So like if you don't like to run, maybe like to jump high or jump far or throw something really far. But that's the thing with track, like you can do like so many different things in that aspect.
Right.
I would say kind of the same thing. If you're scared, just join it. If you're interested in it, join it. It can be very nerve-wracking as it is your first year, and it's going to test your abilities on your mindset and your physical attributes. But over time, that stuff will increase, even if it's not at the area or level you want it to be at when you first start off. It will increase if you keep working hard enough to get it to that point. And then I know how embarrassing some girls are to wrestle, but just work on it. It's not really that embarrassing once you get out on the mat and just forget that everyone is there surrounding you.
I would probably want to return to what Jake was saying about sacrifices and hard work. At the level that we are, me and Jake, we've sacrificed a lot and we've done a lot. We've probably spent days, weeks, maybe actually almost like years, probably of actual practice, years of actual practice to get where we are. And that doesn't include just the practice room. That includes the weight room, the car, running on a treadmill, or even outside clubs. Like me and Jake go to a place called Kirby down in Troy. But we spent most of our lives sacrificing ourselves to sport, and it's really, it really just shows and gives a lot. So I'd say to any younger kid that as Jake said, the sacrifices are going to be great. Sometimes they're gonna suck, but you can't do it if somebody's forcing you to do it. It's not gonna be fun. You're not gonna want to do it. You gotta do it for yourself. And what Mia was saying about, she said girls being embarrassed. I'd say boys being embarrassed. A lot of younger kids, including incoming freshmen and the younger, they think it's weird, and I don't really see it that way. They're young and they don't understand it. And I feel like wrestling is just like any other sport. It's a combat sport. It's a hard sport, yeah, but it's not weird. For example, even UFC fighters, some UFC fighters are some of the greatest wrestlers that you've ever seen. Wrestling is a great base sport for anything, jiu-jitsu, judo, anything. If you know how to wrestle, you're going to have a great start in any of those other combat sports. So overall, I'd say sacrifices are going to be great, and don't let somebody else's opinion change your mind about doing wrestling or even doing track or anything like that.
I got to tell you, the four of you have been impressive in all of your answers, and certainly did not disappoint in that one. Really good perspective and outlook. You talked about so many key things about doing something for yourself and the sacrifice and the work that goes into it, and balancing things and being part of a team. It's really been great to have you on the podcast. I think everyone can take something from this, and really congratulations on great seasons. Not easy to get to where you just were. And there is a lot of work and a lot of sacrifice that goes into it. And to be among the best in the state at what you do is just a cool thing. So congratulations to the four of you. For our seniors, Jacob and Reese, good luck post Averill Park. And for Amelia and Marley, hopefully we'll be able to keep tabs with you these next couple years and see how you continue to succeed in the winter season. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. See you next time on Every Student, Every Day.